What's up, everybody? This is Clinton Fauché here with the Front Porch Chronicles. And today we have a legend, over 8 hours in the octagon in the UFC, has fought any and everybody that steps his way. My brother by another mother, Mr. Rafael Dos Anjos, a.k.a. RDA, a.k.a. Javier Dos Santos. All right, so I know you just moved to Austin about 6 months ago. How are you liking Austin? How's the vibe? What are you thinking about Austin?
So, brother, thank you for having me. My pleasure. It's been great, man. It's been great. When we first come to Austin, me and my wife, it was back in 2016, and we love it, and she loved it, and I always had my eyes on Texas. I have a great history with Texas State, with the Lone Star State. I had my first UFC win. For many that don't know, my first UFC fights I lost. That was a hard start for me, and I had my first win in Houston, Texas, and I won my title in Dallas.
Yep.
And so the two of the fights that had more important in my career was in Texas, and I lived 10 years in California. And we say, hey, I always think when I'm near to retirement, I'm not close to retirement. I mean, the finish line is closer than the start line. I gotta be honest with myself.
Yeah.
And I always think like maybe move to Texas, and she loved Austin, and here we are.
Yeah. So yeah, let me ask you this. Austin you got me wanting to move to Austin. I laughed talking to Chris earlier. I was like, I would have no interest ever in moving to Austin. And I've begun kind of my search here only because of our connection, and connection with the kids and the family, vibe. So let me ask you a couple of things about Austin. What so far is your favorite thing to do or favorite thing about Austin?
I love now we start getting close to winter. It's getting cold, and but at the summertime I was going to Barton Springs pretty much every week.
Yeah,
like I was dropping off kids at school, and it's like a 15-minute drive from my house, but as of now, since it's getting cold, I'm just focusing in get ready for my next fight and working out. That's what I do every day, and enjoy the vibe. I also have great people. People are so friendly.
Yeah,
and that's what I like about him.
Yeah, no doubt. So here's the big thing now. And I already know the answer to this. What's going to be, I know you've tried, Texas is known for their barbecue, right? And so there's a lot of barbecue restaurants around. We've tried a couple. I know the answer to this, but let's go ahead and put it on paper. What is your favorite barbecue or restaurant since you come to Austin?
Oh man, that was no doubts. Terry Black. I took you there last week, and when the kids love that place, my wife loved that place, and all the staff, so friendly, and man, Jason is an awesome guy.
Yeah,
and man, we've been blessed to meet those guys, and they have amazing food over there.
Yeah, it's crazy because when I got ready to come out here, I told Albert, I said, hey, I'm going out for a couple of weeks to visit Hoffa. I said, hey, I know we're going to go to Terry Black's. And he was so soft. He was like, man, you got to have a waiting line there, and you got to have it. I said, nah.
Oh, man, we called Jason. He hooked us up right away.
Jason had the
food's ready, tables ready, so make it easy for us.
He had the parking spot set up for us and everything. It was legit. But yeah, so I kind of was skeptical, I'll be honest, because I've eaten, I'm from the South, so I've eaten barbecue places all over the place. And I was like, oh, okay, they say it's good. Let me try it out and see what it is. And when we went in, I absolutely, hands down, the best barbecue I have ever had, easily.
Yeah, no, especially we from Brazil, we also have like a good barbecue over there. Even took Johnny, my Muay Thai coach, over there, and he's very like when it comes to ribs, he there's only one place in Brazil that he likes to eat ribs because he's very picky, and he was kind of hey man, I'm not sure if I should try their ribs, and once he tries it was the best ribs I ever had.
I was the same. Okay, so I was going through in my mind, and I want to get your opinion. I was going through we had the turkey, we had the sausage, we had the brisket, and we had the ribs.
The ribs.
Albert called me, and I was talking to him, and Albert was like, man, I heard the brisket is so good. And the brisket is good. I liked but for me, the ribs.
Yeah. The ribs, I can't even, it's so hard for me because I'm always watching my weight, to watch what I eat. I'm that type of person that I gain weight just by looking and smelling it. And you've been with me so many, we've been in my house for so many weeks, and you know how I am when it comes to my dieting.
Dedicated.
And I always follow my dieting, and it's so hard to go there. And I love the turkey, but only to stick with the turkey is pretty hard.
It's funny because I was talking to my girl today, and she was like, I was like, we're going to the gym. And she was like, hey, I was like, when I get home, I got to start hitting the exercise bike, and I got to start dieting. Honestly, you motivate me. I was telling Rafinha the other day, I was like, look, this is the type of stuff you look at, what you eat, what you like, the dedication. And it's funny because I know for me, when people find out that I know you, it's weird to me because I don't look at you as RDA or Rafa, like Rafael Dos Santos or Javier. I look at you, you know what I mean? I look at you like my love and admiration for you has nothing to do with you being a fighter. I tell people all the time, he could be a carpenter, a woodworker, like literally whatever. My respect for you comes from you as a husband, you as a father, the dedication. Like it's funny because we're going to talk about some of the fights in Austin this week, but it's funny because UFC fans are so over the top, like on Twitter, X, or whatever they call it now. They're so over the top with the things that they say, and they don't really see the things behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, like seeing you every day and like, we're over there eating chocolate, or we're over there, and we try to hide now because we're like, we don't even want him to see us eating this and have to go through.
I'm a huge
And I know you love Krispy Kreme, so I've been trying to stay back from my Krispy Kreme because I know you've got some stuff coming up. But your dedication, your hard work, your will is what always has made me admire. I remember the first time we trained together at Gracie Baja HQ. And I remember you came in and I was like fanboying. And I was like, oh my God, dude, this is RDA here. And I remember you caught me with a cross collar choke. And I was like, it's RDA, but I got to come back with some funk now. Like I got to fight now because otherwise it's going to be a bad day. So, all right. So let's speaking of fighting, let's hop into, we went to UFC Austin this week, Fight Night. It was an epic show. I saw Dana said they sold it out. Luckily, there was one ticket left for us.
Yeah.
We needed that one ticket left. But man, it was a packed house. There was a lot of people there. The crowd was amazing. It was some really good fights. So let's kind of jump into that. I wanted to pick your brain. Who better than the man that's done it over 48 times? So the first one, and I know you eventually want to see this guy, 𝕨𝕨 and Joaquim. We saw Joaquim at the hotel. That was a heck of a fight. What did you think about that fight, and what do you think could have been done different, or what did you think?
Yeah, well, like you said, the energy was amazing. The crowd was so energetic and full house. Was packed, man. I wish I could have been fighting there. And I even threw my name out there when 𝕨𝕚𝕟𝕟𝕚 got hurt, but I couldn't make 155. It was just too much. But yeah, the fights we had great fights in there, and 𝕨𝕟𝕚 and Joaquin was a great fight. I was leading to the third round. I was having 1-on-1.
It was a
tie fight, but Joaquin, he managed to, I think if he landed the last takedown on the end and he finished on top, he would win that fight. But he went for the takedown, but I was we were talking to each other, and I told you this guy has a good guillotine.
He almost got it twice.
Yeah, he got Guida on a guillotine, and he managed to finish the round on top. He didn't connect much. He didn't throw too many punches, but the punch that he threw, he kind of rocked Guida a couple times. Guida walked forward. He had more octagon control. That's why he won the second round. But on the third round, if he landed that takedown, a minute and a half to go, he would win that fight. And even Chuck Liddell was sitting alongside with us. He said, "Oh, hey boy, you need that takedown. You need that takedown." And I think that takedown would make a huge difference. He could win that fight, but unfortunately, he got he took the guy down, but the guy had the guillotine and kind of reversed on him and finished on top.
It was crazy because before the fight started, you looked over at me and you said, "This guy." I said, "Who you got?" And you said, "Hakeem's got."
Yeah,
I knew he got a heck of a guillotine, and he almost landed it twice. That one, I think it was it the first round he landed it. I thought it was pretty tight, and it looked pretty tight. I didn't think he was going to get out, but Clay, I don't know if it's what it was, but he slipped out of it. But I was shocked. But I definitely. Some people were like, "Oh, it could have went either way," and I agree. But I think Joaquin,
their last 90 seconds made a huge difference. Joaquin on top, and man, I got big respect for Guida. Man, that guy has beat me, has beat Pettis, Nate Diaz, and he never made to the championship. But I got big respect for him. He's still going strong, these fighting young kids, young guys, and big respect for him.
Yeah, he's
a nice guy, though.
Yeah.
Very nice guy.
Yeah, there's some guys not, but he's definitely a super solid guy. Yeah. I've met him before. He was super down to earth. Next up, I want to get your intake, and I'm going to kind of give me some. Sean Brady and Kelvin Gastelum.
Oh yeah, I saw it was Sean Bradley didn't want to exchange with Kelvin since the beginning. Kelvin hits hard.
Yeah,
he's southpaw, and he has knockouts over Michael Bisping, Vitor Belfort, and on a 185. So Bradley knew what was coming from him, and he fought a great fight. He fought a smart fight. Took him down right on the first round. If I'm not wrong, on the first minute, had a great control. He frustrated Kelvin for the 2 rounds.
The whole night.
And man, we could see when Kelvin sat on the round between the second and the third round. He sat on the corner. We could see his frustration, and right at the beginning of the third round, he landed a great takedown, and Kelvin was he was done. Man.
I felt
he had so much control, and he had a great ground game, great wrestling. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, it's funny. Cejudo was sitting on the right side, and him and Kelvin are close.
Yeah.
And I looked over and I was like, and he said the same thing. I felt like for me, I don't think Kelvin was ever really, and that was a testament to Sean. I think he took Kelvin out of his zone. The crowd didn't really like it. They never like a grappling match. They want, hands thrown, and they want all of that. But I think he did an amazing job controlling and frustrating Kelvin. I like Kelvin. Kelvin's a good guy. I've never met Sean. Kelvin's a good guy. Just he was completely outmatched, in my opinion. On that one. Next up, we have Rob Font and Figgy. I can't pronounce his name. My Portuguese. Yeah, my Portuguese is not, my Southern accent won't let me say it. I'm starting to learn a little bit, but I can't really say it. What did you think about that fight? What do you think could have been done different, or what do you think?
Like Figueiredo was his first fight at featherweight, not featherweight, 135.
Yeah.
What was 135 is?
Light? I don't know. They're so small. I never.
135. 135 was his first fight at 135. And man, we can when they were walking to the octagon. I think I told you. I say he he got a lot of volume. He don't got the power, but he keep bothering you with those jab and 1-2, good reach,
points,
and getting points, and he throw a lot of punches, but he don't get the power. And Figueiredo, Robbie Font were throwing way more punches, but when Figueiredo hits him, you could see on the first round, man, he threw 3 punches, one on the head, one on the body. We could listen that body shot.
Oh my God!
And another one, you could see every time Figueiredo hits him, he rock him. But it was a great fight. I like it.
Yeah,
Figueiredo got so much power, man.
Man, you said it, and I had seen it, but I was curious to see jumping up a weight class how that power would transcend. Because a lot of times guys are strong at the weight class that they're at, and then when they move up, it's like, he was knocking people out here, but at that next weight class up, it doesn't really matter. But when he hit him with that overhand right, and then he hit him with the body shot, you could see Font literally.
And also, like when you go up weight, it takes like probably 2 fights for you to kind of make that adjustments, because the gas tank, it changed. I could tell. I can tell you when I make the move to 170 pounds, I gas first. I felt tired leading to the third round, like I has never felt as lightweight.
Yeah.
And I was talking about that with my head coach, 𝕨𝕚𝕟𝕚. He was telling me that you have more body mass, so your heart work harder to pump blood to all those, extra 15 pounds. And it make a lot of sense. And that's why when Kevin Lee, he was a 155, and he went up to fight me, I knew he would gas. I knew that. And after the third round, it was a 5 rounds fight.
Yeah.
On the 4th round, he was like giving, and the 5th round, I finish him.
So in that fight, going back to that fight, did you have the mindset you're just gonna kind of see what comes up?
I knew.
You were gonna kind of draw it out to, as they say, go into shark-infested waters. So
I knew he started really strong. He felt strong that night, but I knew he would start fading away.
Yeah, gassing out. So, all right, next up, we have, this fight was insane.
Bobby.
Yeah, we got Jalen and Bobby Green. I know Bobby was originally supposed to fight Dan Hooker. It was crazy. It was during Thanksgiving. And you got the call and said Dan Hooker had pulled out. You kind of threw your name in there. Some other guys threw their name in there. But I honestly, low-key, was kind of glad that they didn't give you the call because we had an amazing Thanksgiving and Chris threw down in the kitchen. I was telling everybody, like, I don't know what I'm going to do for Thanksgiving from now on because now she spoiled me with the food. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It was a really cool night. But Bobby Green had a couple of incidents. I know we talked about with Armin at the hotel, the initial little skirmish, then the second one. It's crazy. We don't really know what goes on because we see a video and then we see stuff pop up on, I call it Twitter X. There, things are always changing names. So I was kind of glad that you didn't get in. But Jalen Turner, who is a good friend of yours, a good friend of mine, who super solid guy, fighter, as well as just a good human being, who it was funny that he came out and said during the week leading up, he said, he didn't really even want to fight, it's a business. And so therefore, when they call and tell you what you need to do, I mean, you've been doing this long enough to know that they can't force you to do anything, but they can kind of force you, to go ahead and take a fight. So we had Jalen Turner. There was a lot of hype going into Bobby Green coming into the fight because of all the Jerry Springer episode drama that went on throughout the week. And then Jalen cutting weight right at the end. I honestly, to be truthful, I was kind of nervous for Jalen because I know how it is to cut weight at the last minute, last second. But I was pretty confident in him just because I know him. He's long, lengthy, and I was like, as long as he uses that, he would be good. But what did you think about Jalen versus Bobby? It didn't go on for long, but
Yeah, when I saw like a couple guys threw its name out there. I threw my name out there, but I couldn't make 155. There are some other guys, I think Jerry Gordon.
Yeah.
He had a fight where he could
before.
make 155 and he fought Bob before. Who was the other one? I think other kid, young kid, Terrence
McKinney.
McKinney, he threw his name out there too. But when I saw that, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure who makes that decision. If it's Bobby Green, okay, sometimes it is, sometimes not. Maybe the UFC made that decision to make Bob fight Jalen. When I saw Jalen, I said, "Hey man, if it was Bob he picked that fight. He picked the worst fight for him."
They're from the same neighborhood.
I knew it would be the worst fight for him. Worst matchup.
That's why I don't think, and I'm like you. I don't know if that's who Bobby chose. It could be that he chose him because he felt like that was the bigger name of the guys that could make 155, because Terrence is an up-and-coming guy. So it really wouldn't make sense for him to fight him. But I, like you, I said, ooh, it'll
be a bad fight. And Jalen, like, man, I've trained with him so many times. He's such a tough guy. He hits hard. He got good kicks, good elbows, punches. Very hard to take him down. Very athletic. And man, it was a great fight. I was happy for him.
Yeah, I was curious to see. I know he threw a couple of kicks at the initial, and the crowd was behind Bobby just because the crowd's love, for some reason, I don't know why, I'm not really into it, but the crowds are always into the guys that like to do the chirping the most.
The dramas, right?
Yeah, the drama. So the crowd was really behind Bobby. So, and I was going for Jalen. It was I made it well known, especially once he got that knockout. I made it well known. They weren't, some people around us were kind of like, oh, okay. But
I felt like Bobby was trying to kind of get to his mind. with the talk. He landed a good head kick, and Bob like was that's also his style. That's how he does.
Yeah.
And I feel that it can, if the guy doesn't have his head on the right spot, if he's not like Nate Diaz does, they trying to, if you're not like 100% on the fight, you can get distracted with that. But looks like Jay was on point. I was looking his face expression, I pay a lot of attention to that. And I saw like he was like, hey, man, I'm not going to let that thing affect me. That's all talk.
Well, I think it helped two things. I talked to Jalen afterwards. I told you he was like, hey, sorry, I didn't see you guys. But we were like right there by him. And he looked dialed in from the time he came up to the cut man and was getting ready to go in the octagon. And with Bobby, I agree with you. I think that bob and weave in and all of that chitter chatter and stuff like that and talking while you're in the octagon and stuff like that. Some people get frustrated. They kind of get out of
shout.
Yeah, they feel like they're being tried, so they rush in, and that's what he wanted, especially with Jalen, because Jalen was so lengthy. I mean, he's a tall, lengthy guy. So, and I went back and watched it, and it actually was Bobby doing his weaving move that Jalen caught him with the initial punch to the side of the head. And as we saw, his leg almost buckled as he was, and I know he went down, and we talked about, the non-call of the stoppage.
Yeah, it took a while, man.
I know we counted. I think it was me, you, and Chris.
11 seconds.
I was gonna say
11 seconds from the because they were showing they show like the replay on the big screen, and I kind of counting the seconds. It was like since the time Bob was done, it was a terrible stoppage. It went 11 seconds went by. The guy getting hit. That was terrible.
Yeah, Dana even came out and said that he as well was kind of disgusted with the lack of. And for me, I went back and rewatched it just because I'm weird like that too. I like to rewatch because I always try to pick the brains or look at what people are doing. And I went back and I looked at the stoppage because I didn't want to, like, initially, everybody's like, oh, it was a horrible stoppage. I wanted to see if there was...
Especially when you watch it live, you kind of don't have really idea what's going on. When you watch on TV, it's different.
Well, especially because we were, like, right there. And so we couldn't even see, like, the screen. I mean, we could if we looked up, but, I mean, it was one of those things. But when I went back and watched it, I don't know what the ref, because it wasn't like he was face up to him or trying to pull a guard or trying to go into
No, he was like...
I mean, he was face down.
Yeah, he was protecting a little bit here, his ear, but like he was done. He was on...
Yeah, and it was about...
cruise control.
Yeah, it was about 6, maybe, I would say about 5, maybe 6 seconds in. He ate a couple of punches, but it was like he went to drop that right hand down, and I don't know what if he was going to try to push to get up, but when he did, Jalen caught him, and you could see he went out, and it was about 6, 7 seconds in, so there were still 4 seconds that he was catching bombs, and like you said, Jalen hits pretty hard.
He does.
So I was,
and like, the punch that caught Bobby that he got stinky leg was is actually connected on Bob's shoulder and went
and then glanced.
It didn't went straight to the head.
Yeah.
If it went straight to the head, it would be like out right away.
Oh yeah. Too sleep. So, but it was a good fight. I was glad.
It was.
I was glad for Jalen. I reached out to Jalen afterwards and I said, hey. He was like, bro, you were there? And I sent him the video because we literally were like 5 feet. He was like, bro, I'm so sorry. Tell Huff I'm sorry. Like, I literally was in the zone. And I was like, bro, we already know. We could see by your face, like, you were in the zone. So So we'll catch up with them later. The last fight, the headline fight, was I kind of got sick to my stomach. Benny is a good friend of yours and been a good friend of yours for a long time. I had the pleasure. I've met him in passing before, but we hung out with him a couple of nights before the fights. He was in good spirits. And that fight, Armin, I was sick to my stomach, but what was your take? What do you think could have been done different? What did you think? It was pretty quick. I wish it would have gone a little bit longer, but
Yeah. I think if you go a little bit longer, Benny would show more. Like I spoke to him and he said, yeah, I wish he could go a little longer. But man, that's the fight game. That's how things happen. And being there as a spectator is different. You see a lot of things. I'm not that type of fighter that I go watch fights, UFC fights every weekend. I don't do that. And I've been there fighting more time than I've been watching. So I think I attended probably very few shows. Like I would say like
that's what I was
5-7 shows that I've been the UFC shows that I attended. For me, it was very weird because we have like 𝕬𝕟𝕟𝕚𝕟𝕚 right here,
literally right beside us.
and and see on the other side Benny's crews, like like family, wife, and see he got knocked out, and like his wife was so worried about him, and she was like, because he was still out for a couple of seconds in there, and and she was walking by, and the other crew like screaming, and it's weird, man, to see all of that. I might as well be fighting than see that. I think me, you, and my wife too, we all like, I got nausea right away. It was weird to say, hey, let me get out of here, man. I was seeing that all that thing happen. I got so like it drained my energy a lot. And Ben is a good friend of mine, and was hard to see go all like that. I think he saw well. He threw a couple like head kicks, but for some reason, I felt him a bit more nervous than normal. And I was watching Arman. I'm a type of guy that I pay a lot of attention on body language. Yeah, Arman looks like he was about to play a video game match. He was in his living room. He was like, his face didn't show any emotion. He was like so calm and so like, okay, one more day.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I saw Benny kind of more stressed out. Having being in UFC for longer, he got really close to the title. I think that weighs a lot on the guys. I can tell by my own experience, like having family, that thing is something that weighs. It brings you more like, it puts more like weights on your shoulder when you have your family.
Stress.
It's
I tell people all the time.
It's different than fight a coming up guy and that has no family, nothing. And man, I can tell you, it weighs on you a lot.
That's one of the things. It's funny because whenever the fight started, I looked over at you and I looked over at Chris, and I was like, especially Chris, because I know she's like me. We're like two peas in a pod. And so I said, hey, it's really weird being at a fight and Hafa's not fighting. And we both smiled, like huge smiles. And we're like, but it's much more relaxing. And it was. And I didn't feel any stress because there was nothing kind of going around until Jalen. I told her, I said, when Jalen gets ready to fight, I'm going to be, a little rambunctious. And when Benny got ready to fight, I was a little bit rambunctious. It was two things. It was very good to go see a fight with you and kind of hear, and then Henry was beside. So I could hear them talking, but I could hear you talking, and I was like, it was like when you see somebody in their craft that tells you, especially somebody like you that knows so much about what's going on, it makes it different than when like you go with your friends and you watch a fight and they're like, oh, why don't he get up? Bro, if he could get up, I'm sure he would get up. He don't want to get punched in the face. So I was kind of good about, it was more relaxing until Jayla, and then of course the Benny fight. And it is the fight game, and anything can happen at any time. And it's weird because I mean you could have a no-name guy that shows up, and it felt awkward to me too when it got to the Benny fight because we had Armin's people. I mean, I'm sure it was his. I don't know his family.
It was his dad.
I think it was his dad.
It was family, like,
and they weren't sitting in that area. They were sitting farther back. So it was like they came up and were standing right there. So it was kind of super awkward. And then Benny's wife and, you know, his kids and his father-in-law were sitting right next to us. And we had just hung out with them like a couple of days before. I had never met his wife. She's amazing. And so we were sitting, and when he got knocked out, man, it was crazy that when we got to the downstairs area to go to the card, I think we all felt the same way. Us three were like seeing the concern and the feeling of I don't want to say helplessness in a negative connotation, but his wife just like, what do I do? It literally, I mean, I was nauseated even to the point of when we got home, like I had to step away so that I could like meditate.
Yeah.
Because I felt so bad for Benny. I felt so bad for his wife. And then, you know, Armand's people were sitting there yelling, and like, you can understand their excitement, but then again, it's kind of like, hey, his wife's right here and she's got their kid, and she went to walk down to try to get in to where Benny was. And she originally walked towards that way, and all of Armand's people were up and they were screaming and yelling. And I could see her turn around and beeline back the other way. And it was confusing because I didn't know what to do. It was like, do I say something? Do I not say something? Or whatever?
No, like another thing is, for example, when the fighter like Benny, he has fought, he got 8 or 9 wins in a row. He was close to title, and then he lost to Charles Oliveira by knockout on his fight before that one. And I think when you have a success in your career, you're reaching new levels, and you fight somebody that has not been there, it's a lot of more pressure on you. You know, like every fight to win, I can tell you, like every fight to win, like you have 3, 4 wins in a row. And when you look back, say, hey, man, and you have a next fight schedule, that's a lot of pressure because you don't want to lose everything that you
worked hard for.
Because one loss, it's not only one step back. It could be like 10 step backs. Or if you need the title, if you lose a fight, you couldn't probably never fight for the title again. That's how the game is, and it's one of the hardest sports in the world, man. MMA is very hard, but it happened to me. My last fight was my wife's birthday. I was moving back from Brazil to United States. I had a lot of things during the fight week, a lot of stress. You were there too. My kids flooded. My house was a brand new house that I bought in Austin was like destroyed, and that's what I have to face during a week before. My back start hurting right away due to stress, and it was very hard. But my fight was booked already. I need to get that fight done. I hurt my big toe a month before the fight. I'm not making any excuses, but just like I want to open that so people know that we fighters have also a life like everybody else. And it was my wife's birthday. I took my kids, Roger, Gustavo, and Rafael. So everything to have a perfect night. So it's my wife's birthday. I want to get a win, and I lost. It was really hard because it was a decision, but I'm a type of guy that I listen a lot to my corner. I have that ability, you know. I have that good thing that everything your corner say. Even my corner say, hey man, when you fighting, it looks like we playing a video game. Move to the right, you move to the right. Move to the left, and then everything we tell you, you do. But this time you couldn't listen because I don't know what happened. I was in so stressed because everything that I passed through leading up to the fight, and I couldn't. I kept shooting takedowns on Luque. He was big. He was strong. He was stopping my takedowns. I should have kept that fight standing, but for some reason I couldn't listen to my corner, and I paid the price.
Yeah, you know, it's again going back to knowing behind the scenes, because it's hard for me. Like, I asked you about your notifications on Twitter, and you said I shut them off. And it's hard for me because when I go on there, when you post something and people say something, like, your family, so like, it's hard for me to pick and choose who I'm going to argue with. And it's like, I tell people, like, that fight specifically, I was there. You called me and said, hey, we just landed and the kitchen is flooded. And I'm like,
I mean, 18 bags. I was moving from Brazil back to US. I had 18 bags, all my pets,
cats,
3 cats, kids, coaches,
everything.
Okay, by the time we opened the door, we have no kitchen. The water was spilling out all over. And I didn't even know where to close the water, where to shut the water.
It's funny, you called me.
Everything new, man.
I heard Chris. I heard her voice. And I said, hey, let me figure it out. And I didn't even call to figure, like, I called Chris, the agent that we use. And then I looked over at Albert and I said, man, I got to go. And he was like, oh, where? I said, man, Hoffa's Kitchen. I was going to fly to Vegas originally to watch the fight. And when I heard the concern for me, there was nothing. I called straight and said, hey, I can't get the kids this week. I've got to go. I'll talk to you about.
I never went through that in my whole life.
No.
That I have to use homeowner insurance. And on top of that, when I call the homeowner insurance, they say, we're not going to cover them. It's been more than 2 weeks because there was mold. We don't know if it was more than 2 weeks or not. But there was mold and under the sink and all of that. And the insurance company said, we're not going to pay for it. And then when things start getting ugly.
So
now we laugh about it, right?
We laugh about it
so
now.
Stressed.
I knew you were stressed. I knew Chris was stressed. So I was like, bro, I would. And I remember I looked over at Albert. Albert's like, Albert knows how I am. I'm really picky about who I associate with. And Albert knows how I am about you and Chris and the kids. And so he could hear like something was going on. I said, hey, I got to go. And he was like, okay. He thought I was talking about going to somebody. I said, no, I got to go to the airport. I need you to run me to the airport. And so I literally went. I was glad we worked it out with the insurance. I remember when I called you, when I was going back and forth with the insurance company, when they finally said it, I called you and I could hear in your voice. And I was trying to do it before you got into the deep waters of the weight cut. And so I remember you like kind of breathing a sigh of relief. But it was one of those things between the toe, the stress of that. And again, not that there's no excuses. It's the fight game, whatever. And people say whatever. But to be honest, 99.9% of people would have said, hey, I've got something going on. I'll pull out. And that's something with you. You literally could have a broken leg and like go in there and try to fight. And so you win some. I remember I told you afterwards, everybody was like, hey, you should do this, should have done this. And I was like, hey, look, it is what it is. You live and you learn and you progress. And so I was just glad there was no injury, no anything like that. I still, look, you can say what you want to on Twitter, X, whenever you see this. I still say you won the fight. You tagged him. He was doing a whole lot. And I know you don't want to say it, but I'll say it for you. There was a whole lot of humping going on of the leg. There wasn't really, I didn't think there was any significant damage done by him. I was with you after the fight. I was in shock from it. I gave the fight to you.
Yeah, it was. I think he won. I watched the fight again, but I think I lost to myself. It was my mistake, and I pay for it.
Yeah, and you live and you learn, and that's one of the things. Again, there's no excuses. You've never made excuses, and so with that, going into what is next for you, what's up next? I know.
Yeah, March. I got a call to fight again. March in Miami. I'll be back at 155.
How do you feel about that?
Feel good. I know, like, it's gonna be hard. It's never easy. Even at 170, it's not easy. But I have 6 more fights left on my contract. I'm trying to be with the mindset that that I'm gonna be missing it. When I'm not doing that anymore, when I stop, I'm gonna miss all of it.
You will.
So I'm gonna make the best as I can now. I'm gonna be like dial in like day one. I wanna finish all my fight and finish strong. That's my plan.
I don't think I've ever seen you not dialed in. So we got that. That's under wrap. So I've got to get my floral shirt. Me and Rafael were laughing yesterday. We said we got to get one of those cheesy, when we go to Miami, we got to get one of those floral shirts. I don't know. I'm going to have to get my chess game right so that I can bust open a couple of the buttons so I can go down there and get my Latin dance on. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going and seeing. One of the good things is with your career, I know you've had some broken bones, some different stuff, but you've never had any knockout brain issues, any concussion, long-term issues. So that's where, for you, the longevity has kind of always been there. Also, you've always been dialed in. And so, you know, I don't think there'll be any issues.
Yeah, I went to a doctor in Brazil. I was training and somebody cut me on the eye with a finger. I got a eye poke. It was really bad. And that was probably a year ago. And I got that checked out. And the doctor checked out my eye, said it's nothing major. And then he asked me, how many fights you got? I said 46, but 45 at that time. And he said, hey man, even on jiu-jitsu fighters, they have a bunch of scars on their cornea, on you know.
Yeah. You
got none. What you done? Whatever you're doing, keep doing, because you
put
protect
it in a bottle. Put it in a bottle.
You protect yourself really good, because your eyes are perfect. Have no scars. Have nothing. So thank you, God. I have my eyes on point, and I'm, I have good reflexes even after all those years competing. I think that's what I want to be remembered for. Like when I stop fighting, my legacy will be my longevity and be able to compete at the highest level for as long as I can.
You know, it's funny because I sent you a bio thing that I made. And I laughed with Albert because when I sent it, it said future Hall of Famer. And this is where I said, you were the most humble guy I ever seen. And you were like, no, I don't want that in there. And I was like, bro, you're our future. Still got work. Still got work to do. I still got work to do. And so you do. I'm brutally honest. So if I felt like you were washed up, I'd be like, hey, bro, look. But I see you training. There's no slack off with your training. You're still a savage. I don't,
Yeah, I
six
take,
fights.
take good care of my body, and I don't have any like chronic injuries, and everything is like normal injuries like everybody have. When you do something on a professional level, if you play tennis on a professional level, you're gonna have injuries.
Any sport.
Any sport. Yeah. Imagine if you get punched on the face, you fight. There's no way that you can put yourself on the bubble and get ready for a fight. No, you have to go out there, you have to grapple, you have to spar, you have to control. There's a lot of ways to, you have to minimize everything, but you can get ready. And when people get hurt, like when I broke my foot I was getting ready for corner and I broke my foot, and people, you want to broke your foot. You did it on purpose.
They say,
people say some dumb crap.
They say that, and I still tell people.
How come you get hurt? Man, we do a combat sport. You think we get ready sit on the couch and playing video games and running? You can run I run, I hit bags. Okay, you can get ready for a fight like that, but you're not gonna be on your 100%. You have to get your rounds in. You have to spar, not crazy sparring like we learn it during the our career as it go on, but you have to have a contact with somebody. Otherwise, you're not going to be ready. You're going to lose.
Trouble. And one of the things, I always hype her up, but one of the things is your wife has always been, every time I've been around, it's funny because like you, I always look around this situation and I always watch. And I watch, no disrespect to other fighters' wives or whatever, but I watch, and some of them just kind of are there for clout or there for whatever. We ain't gonna go into the WAG conversation today, but a lot of people do. I watch the wives and they're there, and one of the things with your wife, I watch her take care of the home. I watch her take care of you, and I watch even when you have injuries and stuff, I can watch in her mind, she's so concerned and so in tune with always trying to make sure that you're taken care of. So I always shout her out and I always say, and I know that but man, you already know how lucky you are because there's a lot of people that do not have.
She's my soulmate. She's a great mother, great wife, and she's with me since day one. Even before I got to UFC, she believed on me even before I got to UFC, and she was the one that said, "You're not gonna." She asked me, "What's your dream?" I said, "I want to fight for UFC." Way back. We were living behind a car shop. It was like a body shop. Yeah. And behind the body shop, there was a bedroom with a little kitchen.
Yeah.
And one bathroom, and that we were living. And she was the one that take care for the house. She was the one that was working. I was fighting 2-3 times a week, making $100-$200 a fight.
Yeah.
And she said, "What's your dream?" I said, "I want to fight for UFC." And she, "No, you're going to be a UFC champion." That's what she told me. And I will never forget that. And I thought, she's crazy. She's trying to, boost me up. But
you thought she was trying to give you real. She was trying to give you guys. But she does have that, that vibe to her, when she says something. And I'll be honest with you now, I've seen behind the scenes, I've seen her hands. And I'll just tell you, I know if I was one of the kids of you, I would not want to mess up because I've seen it. I told her we need to get her signed up for the UFC. I don't think any of the females in the UFC want that smoke, especially when the stare down. Because when she gets that one look,
you know the drill. Right?
Oh, I know the drill. But it's funny because I see it and then I know what a loving, caring, God-fearing woman she is. And I know that she's just the best. So going into, I know we broke into, you said you got 6 fights left on your career. And I know you don't want to talk about what after that, but what is it that you want to do when it's done?
Yeah, I was thinking a bunch of possibilities. I got so much energy. I mean, when I'm done fighting, for sure I love training. Every day I wake up, I want to do I live a healthy lifestyle. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and martial arts has changed my life for good. And I've seen it change a lot of people's life, man.
Yeah.
When you get to, on the mats, you grapple with somebody, you train, man, you become a different person.
100%.
And I want to change people's life too. I'm looking forward to open my place. I'm looking for a location to open my martial arts academy here in Austin. And I'm looking forward to, having people bring, the best out of themselves and selling health. I say, I'm going to open a restaurant. I'm going to open a cafeteria. So I want to, man, martial art has changed my life. I want to, pass it along, and I want to change people's life, and I'll be involved too. I'll be teaching as well. That's what I love. I love martial arts. That's what I'm going to be involved with too.
Austin is super lucky. I don't know if they know it yet, but Austin is super lucky for you to be opening up that jiu-jitsu school academy whenever it gets ready. I know I'm looking for, I heard you have a guy that's going to be working at the front desk with Chris, this mullet guy. I heard you have this guy that's going to be wearing a mullet that'll be up front helping out. I know I'm personally looking forward to the journey with you guys and kind of making that happen and like you said, changing people's lives. I think, again, going back to one of the things that I've always respected about you and Chris is your believers and your walk with faith. And so I'm really glad and I feel really blessed to have come into contact with you guys and become family with you guys and us on this journey together. And so we'll go ahead and sign it off. Front Porch Chronicles. Thank you so much, guys. And we got more information coming up on the gym later. And if you don't already, go follow. It's not Javier Dos Anjos. It is Rafael Dos Anjos, legend in the making. He hates when I say legend, but I call a spade a spade. He is a legend in my eyes and many people. God bless you guys, and you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you for having me, guys. Take care.